these 8 everyday expressions really mean? They're not just vocabulary, they're clues to a mindset that turns you into a language learning machine. But be careful, most learners misuse them and get stuck. Think you're different? Then don't skip the quiz at the end.
What you will learn in this episode.
The counterintuitive mindset shift that replaces the need for constant motivation. Hint, it's not about discipline.
Why popular language apps might be secretly holding you back, and what to use instead for real-world fluency.
How a simple daily habit, no, not flashcards, turns idle moments into powerful immersion opportunities.
The surprising way to hack your brain into thinking in English, even when you're not studying.
All right, friends, let's jump straight into today's vocabulary preview.
We're talking phrasal verbs, idioms, and wise little sayings that'll help you sound more natural, fluent, and, well, fun. Let's roll.
Dive into. Definition: to start doing something with enthusiasm. Example: I always dive into vocabulary practice with Fluency's Fluency Gym.
Takeaway. Definition: a key idea or lesson from something. Example: my takeaway: use English daily, even when I'm texting.
Get sucked into. Definition: to become absorbed in something, usually without realizing it. Example: don't get sucked into scrolling. Open Fluent instead.
Check in. Definition: to review or monitor something, often briefly. Example: I check in with my progress using Fluent every night.
Stare at a wall. Definition: to do nothing or zone out completely. Often used to describe mental rest. Example: sometimes I just stare at a wall. Other times I practice with Fluent.
Go all in. Definition: to fully commit to something with maximum effort. Example: ready to go all in with Fluent? Let's do this.
Make progress. Definition: to improve or advance in something. Example: I make faster progress with Fluent speaking practice.
Food for thought. Definition: an idea that makes you think deeply or reflect. Example: here's some food for thought. Are you learning passively or actively?
Boom! 8 powerhouse expressions straight from the episode. Not bad, huh?
And the best part? These aren't just words. They're building blocks to sound more fluent, more confident, and more you.
Here's your challenge. Try using 2 of today's expressions in a real conversation this week. Or, better yet, write them in a journal. Use it or lose it.
Oh, and don't forget to listen to this episode again in a few days or even next week. Repetition makes it stick forever.
Because fluency isn't just about learning once, it's about revisiting, reflecting, and repeating. And we're here to help you do just that.
You've got this. Let's keep making English a part of your life. One awesome word at a time.
Okay, so today we're diving into something pretty intense, I guess you could say,
Oh, you.
when it comes to learning English.
Okay.
We're talking about immersing yourself for like 14 hours a day.
Wow.
And this is based on a YouTube video that's gotten a lot of attention
Right.
by a guy named Artem called How I Study English 14 Hours a Day Like a Monk. Copy me. So obviously 14 hours, I mean, for most people, that's just not
Not realistic.
gonna happen.
Yeah.
But what can we take away from that? What are the core ideas that maybe even if we can't do 14 hours,
Right.
can we get some benefit from
Absolutely.
his approach?
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to be looking at today.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting about this is it's not just about the time commitment.
Right.
It's about the mindset, the principles behind it.
Right.
What would lead someone to want to dedicate that much time?
Yeah.
And are there things from that even if you can't hit 14 hours, you could apply to your own learning
Right, exactly.
and benefit from it?
Yeah, so let's dive into some of the key points here. One of the first things he talks about is motivation.
Okay.
And he makes this point that you can't just expect to feel motivated all the time.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think we've all been there.
Right.
Where you just don't feel like doing it.
Exactly.
And so what's really interesting is what he suggests you do
Okay.
in those moments where you're not feeling motivated. He talks about avoiding this temptation
Mm-hmm.
to immediately grab your phone
Yeah.
and get sucked into the endless stream of information and checking your email and social media and all that.
Right, right.
And he sees that as something that actually drains your mental energy.
Before you even get started.
Yeah, before you even get started.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And so his solution to that is something he calls
Yeah.
creating the space in the morning,
Okay.
where you're basically just doing nothing.
Okay.
You know, maybe meditating or just staring at a wall.
Just be.
Yeah, just be,
Interesting.
just to kind of understand, why am I not feeling motivated?
Yeah.
Is it because I'm tired? Is it because of the choices I made when I first woke up?
It makes you more aware of what's going on.
Yeah, instead of just kind of ignoring it and pushing through.
Right, right. That's a good point. Okay, so he also has some pretty strong opinions about how not to learn English.
Oh, yeah.
He's really clear about rejecting traditional methods like textbooks, flashcards.
Interesting.
He even mentions specific tools like Anki and Duolingo.
Wow, okay.
And says he doesn't have any language learning apps on his phone at all. So his argument is that these methods don't actually lead to long-term motivation
I see.
or significant improvements in your ability to actually use the language.
So it's that distinction between,
Yeah,
you know, maybe getting a streak on an app
right, right.
versus actually being able to communicate.
Right, and I think he's getting at the fluency aspect of it, right?
Really?
Like you might be able to memorize a bunch of vocabulary words or grammar rules, but can you actually speak and understand the language naturally?
And I think for a lot of learners, that's the ultimate goal.
Right, right.
It's not just about passing a test.
Exactly.
It's about being able to use the language.
So what does he advocate for instead?
So his main idea is this concept of complete immersion
Okay.
in English in every aspect of your life.
Wow.
He believes that this constant exposure and engagement is the key.
To making real progress.
Exactly.
Okay.
And staying motivated, which I think is a huge part of it.
Yeah.
If you're not enjoying the process, you're not going to stick with it.
Right, right. So it's not just about studying, it's about living the language.
Exactly.
So how does he actually do this? How does he immerse himself?
So he gives a few really practical examples.
Okay.
One simple thing is he sets the language on his phone and computer to English.
Which, I mean, you're on your phone and your computer so much these days.
All the time, yeah.
That's a lot of exposure.
Exactly.
Aggressively.
Right. And what's interesting is he talks about this almost like resentment he feels. If he sees something in his native language,
Oh, wow.
he almost feels like he's wasting time.
Wow.
Because he's not using that time to immerse himself in English.
That's dedication.
Yeah, it's a real commitment.
Wow, okay. He also tells this story about researching plants that I thought was really interesting.
Oh, tell me about that.
So he wanted to find out more about a specific plant.
Okay.
And his first thought was to just search for it in his native language.
Right, the easy way.
Right. But then he had this realization.
Yeah.
He's like, wait a minute. If I don't even know the English word for this plant,
Right.
how am I ever going to be able to talk about it with someone in English?
In a real world situation.
In a real world situation, exactly.
That's such a good point.
Right. It really highlights like the practical application
Yeah.
of immersion.
Yeah, and it's not just about passively hearing English.
Right.
It's about actively using it to achieve your goals,
Yes.
to learn vocabulary that's relevant to your interests.
Exactly. Yes.
So it's really making it work for you.
Okay, so why does he believe this immersion approach is so effective?
He makes this contrast between learning grammar rules, kind of in isolation,
Right.
studying them from a textbook,
Mm-hmm.
versus how we actually communicate naturally.
Okay.
And he even compares grammar rules to, like, equations.
Oh, interesting.
They don't really help you when you're trying to speak spontaneously.
Right, so it's not about memorizing a formula. It's
Exa-
about being able to use the language fluidly.
Exactly, because when you're speaking, you're not thinking about,
Right.
subject, verb, agreement.
You're just trying to get your point across.
You're just trying to communicate.
Yeah. And he also emphasizes how important it is to enjoy the process,
Mhm.
right? Like, if you're not having fun, you're not going to stick with it.
Absolutely.
And so for him, that means immersing himself in topics he's genuinely interested in.
Makes sense.
Like those plants, for example.
Yeah, and it makes it more meaningful. Because you're learning about something you actually care about.
Exactly. So it's not just this abstract
Right.
language learning exercise.
Yeah.
It's connected to something that's real for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. So he's really taken this immersion idea and structured his whole life around it.
Wow.
He talks about his YouTube channel, his business, his studies, what he reads. It's all in English.
That's impressive.
Yeah, he says he hasn't read a book in his native language for years
Wow.
and stopped watching videos in his native language about 2 years ago.
So he's really gone all in on this.
Oh yeah, he's fully committed.
Wow.
And even things like texting, he does that in English too.
So every little
It's a
interaction
little thing, yeah.
becomes an opportunity to practice.
Yeah, and he argues that this is where true motivation comes from.
I see.
When English isn't just something you study for a set amount of time each day,
Right.
but it actually becomes the language you live in.
It becomes part of your identity almost.
Yeah, exactly.
And so the stakes are higher.
Right, you're more invested in it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think the question for our listeners is,
Mm.
how can you integrate more English into your daily life in a way that feels natural and sustainable?
Right. And it doesn't have to be as extreme as
Right, you don't have to go all in.
14 hours a day.
Exactly. But what are some small changes you could make?
Yeah. What are some things you could tweak in your routine
Right.
to increase your exposure?
Right. Okay, so finally he has this really simple principle for making progress.
Okay.
And it's basically just do more.
Okay. I like that.
Right. He relates it to other areas of life, like in business.
Mm-hmm.
The more you interact with customers, generally, the better your outcomes.
Right. More practice, better results.
Exactly. And so in language learning, it means increasing the amount of time you're actively using and engaging with English.
Makes sense.
And it's interesting because he himself went from studying what he considered studying
Right.
for 5 to 10 hours a day
Yeah.
to about 14 hours of daily immersion.
So he really upped the ante.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And he really believes that this is the key to reaching fluency relatively quickly.
Interesting.
And he's pretty optimistic about the timeline.
Okay.
He thinks with that level of consistent daily immersion, fluency could be achievable within a year, maybe even 6 months.
So a pretty aggressive timeline.
Yeah, it's ambitious,
Yeah.
but it really highlights the potential impact of dedicating that kind of time.
Right. Consistency is key.
Right, yeah.
I think what's important to remember is that fluency means different things to different people.
Absolutely,
Right.
yeah.
So you have to define that for yourself.
Right, what are your goals?
Yeah.
But I think his emphasis on consistent and significant engagement is definitely something to think about.
Yeah, that's a valuable takeaway for sure.
So the core message here is really about making English a central part of your life through this idea of immersion.
Right.
And he believes it's the most effective and motivating path to fluency.
And even if 14 hours a day isn't realistic for you,
Yeah.
thinking about how you can increase your exposure to English and make it more integrated into your daily routine,
Right.
that's a great starting point.
Absolutely. And finding ways to enjoy the process.
Yeah, make it fun.
Right. Because if it feels like a chore, you're not going to stick with it.
Exactly.
So, what's one area of your life where you could make a conscious switch to English right now?
Yeah, what's one thing you could change today?
That's something to think about.
Absolutely.
That's a good place to leave it, I think.
Yeah, food for thought.
Yeah. And thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
And we'll see you next time.
Sounds good.
Quiz time.
Now let's test your English comprehension with a couple of quick questions. You ready? Let's go. Question 1. What is the main idea behind Artem's approach to learning English? A. Use more textbooks and flashcards. B. Practice for 30 minutes a day. C. Immerse yourself in English all day.
Question 2. According to the episode, what should you avoid first thing in the morning? A. Drinking coffee. B. Grabbing your phone. C. Reading a book in English.
Question 3. What did Artem say about apps like Anki and Duolingo? A. He recommends using both every day. B. He thinks they're great for motivation. C. He doesn't use them at all.
Question 4. Why did Artem research plants in English? A. He likes plants more in English. B. He wanted to talk about them in real conversations. C. His search engine was only in English.
Got them all right? You're crushing it? Got one or two wrong? No stress. Just rewatch the episode or re-listen in a few days.
Remember, the more you listen, the deeper it sticks. So hit replay next week. Let your brain soak it all in. English style.
All right, here comes your vocab workout wrap-up. Time to flex those memory muscles with a mini scene.
Imagine your brain's at the gym. You dive into a new routine, but halfway through you stare at the wall wondering why you're sweating. Suddenly, you get sucked into your phone. Classic. Then you check in with your coach, Fun Fluent, and remember your main takeaway, don't quit. So you go all in, power through, and by the end of the week, guess what? You make progress. Not a six-pack, but definitely some mental gains. That, my friend, is food for thought.
Come back to this little story tomorrow or the day after. Your future fluent self will thank you.